Hey, shalom, shalom to all my fellow brothers and sisters out there. It's me again, Damian Powell from YeshuaSavesAll.com. Peace be to you in the name of our Father, Yahweh, and our Master, the Son of Yahweh, Yeshua HaMashiach. So today, my fellow brothers and sisters, we're going to be talking about, did the Malachim, the angels, really mate with human women? Now, this is a topic that I covered briefly. I didn't go into great detail about it in the message that I did titled um, "Does the Book of Enoch belong in the Scriptures, the Bible?" So I want to go into more detail today. There are two views when it comes to this topic of the sons of Elohim written in Genesis, Bereshit chapter 6. One group believes that the sons of Elohim are the fallen Malachim, the angels. The other group says that the former view is impossible and that the sons of Elohim are the descendants of Seth, the Sethites. So we will explain this debated topic and let the word of Yahweh speak as always, and I will prove that the sons of Elohim are indeed angels, Malachim, that did mate with human women. Firstly, we have to understand that doctrine is formed at the mouth of two or three witnesses. That's how every matter is established, at the mouth of two or three witnesses. So even Shaul, Paul himself in 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 1 says, "This is the third time that I've prepared to come to you, that by the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established." And then the same thing is said in Matthew 18:16, right? Now let's look at John chapter 8, verse 12 through 14. Now Yeshua spoke to them again and said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but he will find the light of life for himself." The Pharisees said to him, "You do testify concerning yourself. Your testimony is not true." And Yeshua said, "Even if I do testify concerning myself, my testimony is true, because I know from where I have come and to where I go. But you do not know from where I have come, nor to where I go. You judge carnally. I do not judge anyone. Yet if I do judge now, my judgment is true, because it is not I alone, rather I and my Father who sent me. And in your own Torah now it is written that the witness of two men is true. It is that I testify concerning myself, yet my Father who sent me testifies concerning me. So, at the mouth of two or three witnesses, every word shall be established." Right now, I make that point because there are plenty of witnesses that will be presented today from the 66 book canon. We also have Enoch, we have Jubilees, we have the 12 patriarchs, Genesis Apocryphon, to confirm this topic that's at hand. And I'll explain where these books were found and why we should be reading them to get a better understanding of the scriptures so that we do not draw our own conclusions. Okay. Um, and I did talk about these books in another message that I did, but it applies here because I've come across another one, the Genesis Apocryphon. But we'll get into that. First, let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 4 says, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw that the daughters of men were fair. So they took them, wives of all whom they chose. Then Yahweh said, My spirit shall not dwell in man forever, because he is flesh. Let his days be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that. For the sons of Elohim came unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, and they became giants, who in the olden days were the mighty men of renown. Okay, so years ago, before I found all of these ancient witnesses from the Dead Sea Scrolls, which I will be getting into, um, that support the view of fallen Malachim angels going into the daughters of men, a few things jumped out to me that made me know this was true, just based off of Genesis 6 alone. And notice the wording of the verse as it reads, "The sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men." There is a separation showing that the sons of Elohim are not human, because the passage makes it clear that these are spiritual beings joined in with human daughters of men. The daughters of men is the key to show that one was of human origin, the other was not. Just the way it's worded, the sons of Elohim went into the daughters of men. You know, like scripture will clearly say, like Abraham went into Hagar, for example, it's as a human with a human, just to make my point, right? So, and then another thing is, when did humans ever produce giants? And if you read the book of Enoch, I'm not talking about a just a tall man like a basketball player. These were giants, okay? And as you look when they went and spied out the land during the days of Moshe, right? They said they saw the sons of Anak or Anak, and it says that we were as grasshoppers in their sight. That is not a basketball height of a man. These are tall giants, big. Okay, some of them say like cypress trees. You know, and if you ever seen one of those, I have some in my backyard. They're pretty tall. They're really tall, like 25, 30 feet. But I think they may be bigger than that according to what Enoch explained. But anyway, the point is that they were giants. When did a human and a human make a giant that big? Somebody that tall? I haven't seen it. But this is just another clue. And to me, this is another clue to show the corruption of the DNA with the spiritual being made with the human woman. And I personally believe this was Satan's attempt to corrupt the human DNA, because he knew that Yeshua would be born as Elohim and man, become flesh, and dwell amongst us to save us, right? So he tried to form his own race of a hybrid species to prevent his destruction from happening. And we already know that he failed at doing this. Yahweh declared the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10. So anything that any chess piece he tries to move, it's for naught. But anyway, the book of Job gives us more context about the sons of Elohim. Just look at Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also among them. Job chapter 2, verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also among them to present himself before Yahweh. Now, this passage clearly shows this is a spiritual meeting, and no human being could have access to. Satan and the sons of Elohim, the Malachim, the angels, presented themselves before Yahweh, which means they came before his throne, which is in the Shamayim. This again rules out the human sons of Seth. Now, personally, I believe that these witnesses will be enough to make a case, an open shut case, but I know it's not sufficient enough for most. That's why it's been a debate about who the sons of Elohim are. So today, my fellow brothers and sisters, we're going to go deeper by looking at the book of Enoch and the Dead Sea Scrolls, as I mentioned earlier. Well, the Enoch is a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but other Dead Sea Scroll witnesses. Now, firstly, there are many who reject the book of Enoch, as being inspired. But I have a question to ask. Did you know that the book of Jubilees, and Enoch were discovered amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls in cave number 2, right along with the first 5 books of the scriptures, which is the Torah, Jeremiah, and the Psalms. So the question that I present is, if you accept the Old Testament to be true and inspired, which includes the Torah, Psalms, Jeremiah, then how do you reject the other books that were found right alongside it? Do you see my point? It's not our job to reject books because it goes against our thoughts and traditions or what we've been told. Oh, don't read those books. You don't want to read those books. I was told the same thing. It was like, it's taboo not to read those. Don't ever read those books. That's not true. So it's not our job to reject books because it goes against your thoughts, because it goes against your traditions that you hold fast to. However, it is our job to find the truth by all means and to test it. Because gold treasures is not found on the surface. You have to dig for it. Which is why they hid these books, because they bank it on the fact that nobody's going to want to dig for it. They're going to just have that pastor tell you, don't read those books. Like, okay, no. We have to dig, my fellow brothers and sisters. So, yes, Enoch is an actual book. So I want to talk about this first. If you look at Jubilees chapter 4, verses 16 through 17, which reads, in the 11th Jubilee, Jared took to himself a wife, and her name was Barakah, the daughter of Rasuel, a daughter of his dad's brother, in the 4th week of this Jubilee. And she bore him a son in the 5th week, in the 4th year of the Jubilee. And he called his name Enoch. This one was the first among men that are born on earth who learn writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of the Shamayim, the heaven, according to the order of the months in a book. So we see that Enoch has a book, just as it reads in Jubilees chapter 4. Now, let's look and see that Abraham and Levi both mention the book of Enoch. So we have Abraham, and then we have Levi. If you don't know who Levi is one of the 12 sons of Jacob, where the Levites come from, the priesthood. Okay, Genesis Apocryphon, which I mentioned earlier. Genesis Apocryphon was also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, along with the 12 patriarchs. All of these books that were removed were found right along with the Bible. Okay, the same scrolls and fragments were found. Okay, so Genesis Apocryphon was another one. So Genesis Apocryphon, column 19, verse 25, reads like this. And this is when Pharaoh was going to take Sarah's wife. It said Abraham is in first person, which is beautiful about Genesis Apocryphon. It's written in first person. Many gifts and asked of me knowledge, wisdom, and truth. So I read before them the book of the words of Enoch. So Abraham read to them, the Egyptians, the book of the words of Enoch. And this is found in Genesis Apocryphon. Now, let's go to Jubilees chapter 21, verse 10. Jubilees chapter 21, verse 10 says, and this is Abraham talking to his son Isaac. And he says, and eat its meat on that day and on the second day, and do not let the sun go down on the second day until it is eaten. Let nothing be left over for the third day, for it is not approved, and it will not be accepted, and let it no longer be eaten. And all who eat of it will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I, Abraham, have found it written in the books of my forefathers, and in the words of Enoch, and in the words of Noah. Look at that. 2 references in 2 different books. Abraham is referencing the book of Enoch. Now, let's look at the Testament of Levi, chapter 10, verse 5. And Testament of Levi is the book of the 12 patriarchs, which was also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, along with the 66 book canon that we read today of the Old Testament and the New. I mean, the Old Testament, I'm sorry, excuse me, of the Old Testament that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, right along with these books, Enoch, Jubilees, Genesis, Apocryphon, 12 Patriarchs, all found. I keep repeating it because it's so beautiful and amazing just to show these books that we need to read. But anyway, Testament of Levi, chapter 10, verse 5. For the house which Yahweh chooses will be called Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, as it is contained in the book of Enoch the righteous. There it is again. 3 witnesses, but I give you another. Yeshua quoted from it. Matthew chapter 22, verse 30. Yeshua says, for in the resurrection of the dead, men do not marry women, nor are women given to husbands. Rather, they are as the messengers of Elohim in heaven. So, if we go and look at Enoch chapter 15, verse 5 through 8, it reads, therefore have I given them, which is human men, therefore have I given them wives, also that they might impregnate them and bring forth children by them, thus none might be lacking to them on the earth. But you, referring to the Malachim, the angels, were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. For as the spiritual ones of the heavens, and the heavens is their dwelling. Yeshua says the angels don't have wives. Okay, they were not appointed to have wives. And the book of Enoch tells us that Yahweh did not appoint wives for them as he did to earthly men. So Yeshua quoted that in Matthew 22. So matter of fact, there's 4 witnesses going back to the book of Enoch. Okay, so it's going to be very Enoch based, but I'm going to give you some other witnesses as well. So let's get into it. So more witnesses. Now armed with the truth, let us examine other witnesses, including Enoch, contained within these removed books in the Dead Sea Scrolls concerning the angels mating with daughters of men. So the first one I'm going to lead off with is 2 Baruch, chapter 56, verse 11 through 14. 2 Baruch, chapter 56, verse 11 through 14. Also, for at that time when he was created, they had freedom, and some of them, that Malachim, the angels, descended and intermingled with women. There it is. They descended from heaven, the Shamayim, and intermingled with women. Then those who did so were tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of the Malachim, the angels, of whom there is no number, restrained themselves. So there's one witness right there. Now, Jubilees chapter 4, verse 22. Jubilees chapter 4, verse 22. And he, Enoch, witnessed to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men. For these had begun to unite themselves so as to be defiled with the daughters of men. And Enoch witnessed to them all. So again, the watchers, the fallen angels, the sons of Elohim, the sons of heaven, are the spiritual beings that laid with the daughters of men. So we have more context again for Genesis chapter 6, showing that these were not the sons of Seth. All right. Now, Testament of Reuben, chapter 5, verse 5 through 8. So whenever you hear me say like the Testament of Reuben, the Testament of Joseph, the Testament of Levi, these are the book of the 12 patriarchs that I was referring to found in the Dead Sea Scroll. So the Testament of Reuben, chapter 5, verse 5 through 8 says, therefore, my children, flee from whoring, and command your wives and your daughters that they adorn not their heads and faces to deceive the mind of men. Because every woman who plots such has been reserved for eternal punishment. Okay, now, look at that. First of all, let's start off with this. Reuben says that women should not adorn their heads. In other words, to enhance beauty with ornaments, with something unessential. It's not needed. Okay, and then their faces. He says, do not adorn their faces, and that's a reference to makeup and cosmetics, to deceive the minds of men. Okay, and also they did this and made the angels lust after them. Okay, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute because I'm gonna finish reading the Testament of Reuben, but I want to stop and insert here. Why? Because now let's go back and look at what 1 Peter 3:3 says. It matches what Reuben just said, that women should not adorn their heads or their faces, right? This matches 1 Peter 3:3. Your adornment should not be outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on dresses, but the hidden man of the heart. But the hidden man of the heart. Excuse me for a second there. But the putting on dresses, but the hidden man of the heart, with the incorruptible ornament of a meek and peaceable spirit, which is a great value before Elohim. So you're not adorning yourself outwardly to enhance your beauty. Just as Testament of Reuben says, okay? Do not adorn your hair or your faces, right? And this also goes along with 1 Timothy 2:9. Likewise, that women dress themselves becomingly with decency and sensibleness, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly garments. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10. For this cause ought the woman to have on her head the mark of authority, a head covering, because of the messengers. Okay, so you see all of this because of the messengers. All right, now let's talk about the makeup portion really quick. And I already did a message about this. If you haven't seen that, should a woman wear high heels or makeup? And for the woman not to adorn their faces is a reference to what the fallen angels taught mankind in Enoch chapter 8, verse 1. And the fallen angel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and showed their successors the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of cosmetics, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all costly stones, and all coloring tinctures and alchemy. So, we're going to continue reading the Testament of Reuben and why he says not to do these things, okay? Because Paul even says because a woman is to have a head covering on because of the messengers. The messengers can lust after the daughters of men. And that's what cosmetics does. That's what adorning your head and all that does. So let's continue to read the Testament of Reuben chapter 5. For in this way they entice the watchers. The women, the human women, entice the watchers because of they adorn their heads, because of the makeup, the cosmetics, which Peter and Paul spoke out against, and now Reuben's speaking out against it, who were before the flood. For as these continually looked upon them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind, for they changed themselves into the shape of men, and appeared to them when they were with their husbands. And the women, lusting in their minds after their forms, gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching to the heavens. So again, there's that reference what I was talking about since when do two humans make a giant? As Reuben right here makes a reference to the watchers appear to be reaching up to the heavens. Okay, so this is not a basketball player type size here. A 7-foot regular man. These are giants. Okay. But now we get the context of why a woman should cover her head and why she should not wear makeup. Okay. Number one is wrong because it was taught by the fallen angels. But number two, it causes them to lust. So you're to cover your heads. It all matches, right? Now, let's take a look at this. I don't want to get too far off track with it, but it just all ties in. Now, it says that these fallen angels changed themselves into the shape of men and appeared to them when they were with their husbands, and the women lusted in their minds after their forms. So apparently, these fallen angels changed their appearance into the shape of men, And I guess they were muscular men. They appeared to be as muscular men because the women were lusting after their forms. And then they went into them and brought forth giants. Okay, so all of these witnesses are saying the same thing, that the fallen angels went into the daughters of men, brought forth giants. So again, the sons of Elohim are not humans. They came and changed themselves, their shape into the shape of humans. Now look at this. Enoch chapter 19, verse 1. And Uriel said to me, here shall stand the messengers, the angels who have connected themselves with women. So another reference to the fallen angels going into the daughters of men. And their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray and to sacrifice unto demons as mighty ones. You see? So this is always the same reference. Now, this is the fact. The point that I'm making is that the angels being able to change their forms into humans is not a foreign idea in the scriptures. We have to go and look no further than Genesis chapter 19, where we see that it says that Yahweh and the two messengers in Genesis 18 appeared to Abraham, and they were going on the way to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's what Abraham pleaded with them. He pleaded with Yahweh, but nobody's ever seen Yahweh. Remember that. So who is Abraham talking to? The son. But anyway, when you go to Genesis chapter 19, it says that the messengers appeared to Lot as humans. They were able to grab Lot by the hand. They ate bread. They washed their feet. They were able to interact as humans. Now, it should not be a foreign idea that the angels could make themselves into the forms of men and mate with human women and bring forth giants. You see what I'm saying? You see the connection? They can interact in the physical realm with us. They eat, they drink. Now, let's look at Enoch chapter 86, verse 1 through 6. Enoch chapter 86, verse 1 through 6. And again I saw with my eyes as I slept, and I saw the heaven above, and behold, a star fell from heaven. This is a reference to Satan falling. Let's look at Luke chapter 10, verse 18. And he, Yeshua, said to them, I did see Satan falling like lightning from heaven. So that's the reference right there. Just to start off Enoch chapter 86, verse 1 through 6. And again I saw with my eyes as I slept, and I saw the heaven above, and behold, a star fell from heaven. All right. Now we're going to continue on with Enoch 86. And it arose and ate and pastured among the oxen. And after that I saw the large and the black oxen. And behold, they all changed their stalls and pastured with the cattle, and began to live with each other. All right. So they pastured amongst the cattle and began to live with each other. Now, again I saw in the vision and looked toward the heaven. And behold, I saw many stars descend and cast themselves down from heaven to the first star. All right, so he saw many stars descend from the heavens and went down to the first star. The many stars is a reference to the fallen angels leaving their first domain, as Jude and Peter wrote about, and also matches what is written in Enoch chapter 6, verse 5. Enoch 6, verse 5 says, Then they all, the angels, swore together and bound themselves by a curse upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on Mount Hermon. So those 200 angels is that reference to those fallen stars. Let's go back to Enoch 86, continued. And they became bulls, which means they turned into humans, among those cattle, and did pastured among them. So the fallen stars, which are the angels, became bulls, humans, which means that the angels changed their forms, as we read from Testament of Reuben chapter 5, verse 6 to 8, and Enoch 19. Okay, let's just go over Testament of Reuben one more time. For as they continually looked upon them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind. For they changed themselves into the shape of men, and appeared to them when they were with their husbands. And the women lusting in their minds after their forms gave birth to giants, and the watchers appeared to them as reaching even to the heavens. Okay, so we see that the stars became bulls, which means they became humans, and mated with the women and brought forth giants. Enoch 86 continued, and I looked at them and saw, and behold, they all let out their privy members. A privy member is sharing something secret or private. In other words, he's referencing their private parts. Okay, so, and behold, they all let out their privy members like horses, and began to mount upon the cows of the oxen. And they all became pregnant and bore elephants, the giants, camels, and donkeys. And all of the oxen feared them and were afraid of them, and began to bite with their teeth to devour, and to gore with their horns. And they began, moreover, to devour those oxen. And behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble and quake before them and to flee from them. Okay, now this is so these elephants, these camels, and these donkeys, right, were running around, and it says they began to devour those oxen, and began and behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble and quake before them and flee from them. This is another reference back to Enoch 15:11, where Yahweh says, "And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them." All connects. All connects. So Enoch chapter 86, the whole vision was about the fallen angels going to the daughters of men. There's just so many references. Now let's go back and look at Enoch chapter 6, verse 1 through 6, which matches Genesis 6. Enoch chapter 6, verse 1 through 6 matches Genesis chapter 6. And it came to be, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them good-looking and lovely daughters. And the messengers, the Malachim, the angels, the children of the heavens, not the sons of Seth, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, "Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and bring forth children," which we know turned out to be giants. And the leader of the angels said to them, "I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin." So Enoch gives us some more details here, because instead of calling them the sons of Elohim, he calls them the children of the heavens, the Shamayim. It's all the same connection, which immediately shows us that they could not be humans, and again, not the sons of Seth. Now, let's look at Enoch chapter 13, verse 8. Enoch chapter 13, verse 8. This is when the fallen angels went to Enoch to ask him to petition to Yahweh on their behalf, which is interesting, because Yahweh says that messengers intercede for men, not men for messengers. Whew! But Enoch was so righteous that the fallen angels went to Enoch. So here it is, Enoch chapter 13, verse 8. "And see, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. And I saw visions of rebuke, and a voice came bidding to tell the sons of the heavens and reprimand them," which also matches Jubilee chapter 4, that Enoch witnessed to all the angels because of their sin. So in a vision, it was told from Yahweh to rebuke the fallen angels for what they did. But what did he call them? The sons of the heavens. So As we see the fallen angels, the sons of Elohim, the sons of the heavens, the fallen angels, they left their dwelling in heaven. They took wives, then they mated with human women and defiled themselves. The leader of those fallen angels said plainly that he knew it was a great sin. And Jude and Peter agree with this. Jude and Peter knew what sin the fallen angels committed, because there is no mention of angels sinning in the scriptures outside of Genesis chapter 6. So Enoch chapter 6 and Genesis 6 agree what that sin was. And we've explained it multiple times through multiple witnesses, even 2nd Baruch, Jubilees, Enoch, Genesis Apocryphon, all saying the same thing, that the fallen angels went to the daughters of men. Oh, and let's not forget the testament of Reuben. Multiple witnesses. So how did Jude know what that was? Let's look at Jude chapter 1, verse 6. And the messengers who did not keep their own principality, their domain in the heavens, but left their own dwelling, they left the heavens, he has kept in everlasting shackles under the darkness for the judgment of the great day. Jude says that these messengers left their dwelling, their abode, their home, which is the heavens, and are kept in darkness for what they did. What did the angels do when they left the heavens? We know that. We've talked about this the entire time, but let's look at Enoch chapter 12, verse 4 through 5. Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers, the angels of the heavens, who have left the high heavens, the eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. You have wrought great destruction on the earth, and you shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sins. Now look at that same reference. Yahweh says that they have left the high heavens, the eternal place. What did Jude say? The messengers who did not keep their own principality, but left their own dwelling, heavens, the exact same reference. Notice again, Jude says in 1:6 that they are held in chains in darkness until the great day of the judgment. Where could Jude possibly have gotten this information from? He couldn't have made it up, because everything that I'm showing is that he's just connecting the dots, that he's referencing Enoch. Enoch chapter 10, verse 4 through 6. And again, Yahweh said to Raphael, bind Azazel, hand and foot, cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, which is in Egypt. Cast him in there. Place upon him rough and jagged rocks. Cover him in darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on the great day of the judgment, he shall be cast into the fire. Even Peter makes the same reference. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. For if Yahweh did not spare the angels who sinned, how else would Peter and Jude know what sin that was, if they did not know that the fallen angels went to the daughters of men? For if Yahweh did not spare the angels who sinned, but sent them to Gehinnom and delivered them into chains of darkness to be kept for judgment. It's all, hallelujah. The word of Yahweh, we let the word of Yahweh speak. 2nd Baruch chapter 56, verse 11 through 14. 2nd Baruch chapter 56, verse 11 through 14. Also, for at that time, when he was created, they had freedom, and some of them descended and intermingled with women. Then those who did so were tormented in chains. That's the same thing that Peter and Jude reference. Even 2nd Baruch makes that exact same reference. But the rest of the multitude of the angels, of whom there is no number, restrained themselves. So you see, the other angels restrained themselves. They didn't do like the other 200 fallen angels did. So Peter says that the angels sinned, and we see that Genesis 6, Jubilees 4, Enoch, 2nd Baruch, and Jude, and testament of Reuben all agree that they defile themselves with human women, which ties into what Jubilees 4:22, that Enoch witnessed to all of the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men. And we know that the angels are not record of having sinned other than Genesis chapter 6. So what sin could that be? We've listed them all. They've all have been listed. Let's go to Enoch chapter 15, verse 1 through 11. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch. Fear not, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach there and hear my voice. Go and say to the watchers, the sons of Elohim, the angels of the heavens, who have sent you to intercede for them. You should intercede for men and not men for you. Why have you left the high, holy, eternal heavens? Which we quoted from Jude 1:6 and 2 Baruch 56:12. And lain with women and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men and taken to yourselves wives and done like the children of the earth and begotten giants. Genesis chapter 6, Enoch 6. And though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women and are brought forth with the blood of flesh and as the children of men and have lusted after flesh and blood as those also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and bring forth children by them, that thus then none might be lacking to them on the earth. The reference that Yeshua said in Matthew 22. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life and immortal for all generations of the world, and therefore I have not appointed wives for you. That's why when we are resurrected, we will be as the angels, because we'll not be married nor be given into marriage. We'll be just like the angels, and the angels were not appointed to have wives. For as the spiritual ones of the heavens, in the heavens is their dwelling. Now the giants who are produced from the spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is the beginning and primal origin. And they shall be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits they shall be called. As for the spirits of the heavens, and the heavens shall be their dwelling. It's all right here, and that's all Enoch 15. Now, let's move on to Genesis Apocryphon. The Genesis Apocryphon, and I quoted from it earlier, showing that Enoch quoted the book of Enoch, right? He mentioned the book of Enoch in the Genesis Apocryphon when he was talking to the Egyptians. The Genesis Apocryphon was also found in Dead Sea Scrolls in cave number 1 in 1947, right along with the scroll of Isaiah. Yes, the same Isaiah found in the scriptures. Genesis Apocryphon is a very fragmented document because it was badly damaged. However, it contains the same truth as outlined with the many witnesses above. Okay, so wherever you hear me say missing section, means that a part of that scroll was missing or unreadable. Okay, but they put it together. They did a tremendous job of piecing the pieces together. And the book that I have, they did a revised edition because they found more fragments and were able to put in more pieces from the missing fragments from the earlier edition that they brought forth, I think in 1956. So let's start off reading first Genesis Apocryphon, column 2. Genesis Apocryphon, column 2 matches Enoch chapter 106, which talks about the birth of Noah, which reads, So then I thought to myself, this is Lamech speaking, so then I thought to myself that the conception, referring to Noah, was from watchers, or the seed was from the holy ones, or belonged to the Nephilim, and my mind wavered because of this child. So we see that Lamech clearly knew that it was possible for the angels to mate with human women because he thought that Noah was brought forth by one of the angels. So he did not think that Noah was his child. And this is evidenced by the conversation that he had with his wife. So Genesis Apocryphon, column 2 continued. Then I, Lamech, became frightened, and I went to Bitnos, my wife, and said to her, missing section, by the Most High, by the majestic Yahweh, by the King of all the ages, with one of the sons of heaven, that you truthfully make everything known to me. Whither, missing section, you must tell me truthfully and without lies whether this, missing section, swear by the Most High, the majestic Yahweh, by the King of all the ages, that you are speaking to me truthfully and without lies. Then Bitnos, my wife, spoke to me with great vehemence, passion. She cried out and said, O my brother and master, recall my pleasure. Missing section. In the heat of time, and my breath in the midst of its sheath, for I shall tell you everything truthfully. Missing section. The birth. And then my mind was changed within me. Missing section. When Bitnos, my wife, noticed that my expression had changed, missing section, then she suppressed her emotion, speaking to me and saying to me, O my master and my brother, recall, missing section, my pleasure. I swear to you by the great Holy One, by the King of heaven, that this seed is from you, Lamech. From you is this conception, and from you the planting of this fruit, missing section, and not from any stranger, or from any of the watchers, or from any of the sons of heaven. So even Bitnos, his wife, understood that the fallen angels could absolutely bring forth children on the earth, which became giants. So she was letting Lamech know that the conception was from him and not from any of the watchers or any of the sons of the heavens. It's beautiful, just how it all connects. Now, like I said, Genesis Apocryphon chapter 2 matches Enoch chapter 106 about the birth of Noah. So let's read Enoch chapter 106, verses 1 through 6. And after some time, I, Enoch, took a wife for my son Methuselah, and she brought forth a son and called his name Lamech. She brought forth a son and called his name Lamech, saying, righteousness has indeed been brought low today. And when he grew, my son Methuselah took a wife for his son Lamech, and she became pregnant by him and bore a boy. And when he was born, his body was as white as snow, and as red as a rose, and the hair of his head and his locks were white as wool. And his damdama, which is an Ethiopic word, means long and curly hair that has been combed up straight. They say the closest thing is similar to an afro, but not an afro. Long curly hair combed up into an afro. If you can imagine a real curly hair in that form. Was beautiful. And when he opened his eyes, he lit up the whole house like the sun. And the whole house was very bright. And he arose in the hands of the midwife, opened his mouth, and spoke to the master with righteousness. And his dad Lamech was afraid of him and fled and came to his dad Methuselah and said to him, a strange son has been born to me, different than and unlike man, and resembling the sons of the messengers of heaven. And his nature is different, and he is not like us. His eyes are the rays of the sun, and his face is esteemed. And it seems to me that he is not sprung from me, but from the messengers. All of these same references, Lamech knew what the fallen angels could do, because that was going on during his day. He says, Noah isn't born from me. He's sprung forth. He's brought forth by the messengers. And remember Genesis Apocryphon, I read that his wife said that Noah was not brought forth by the messengers, but by Lamech. Both of them understood this. So let's go back to Genesis Apocryphon chapter 5, verse 12. And he, Noah, lifted up his face to me, Lamech, and his eyes shone like the sun. This is the exact same. This matches what I just read from Enoch chapter 106. that I just read from Enoch chapter 106, that when Noah was born, his body was white as snow, red as a rose, and when he opened up his eyes, he lit up the whole house like the sun, and the whole house was very bright. You see how these two are matching? These are two separate scrolls, but they connect. Now, let's go to Genesis Apocryphon, column 5, verses 3 through 4. Look, when I, Enoch, missing section, and not from the sons of heaven, but rather from Lamech, your son. So Enoch is telling Methuselah to tell your son Lamech that that Noah is your son, and not from the sons of heaven. So Enoch understood it as well. Enoch chapter 106, verse 18. He says, and now make known to your son Lamech that he who has been born is in truth his son. And call his name Noach, for he shall be left to you, and he and his sons shall be saved from the destruction which shall come upon the earth on account of all the sin and all the unrighteousness which shall be consummated on the earth in those days. Genesis Apocryphon, column 6, verse 11, and verses 19 through 20. The heavens, for it starts off with missing section, the heavens. And a vision I saw, and as I was shown and informed about the conduct of the sons of heaven. What other conduct of the sons of heaven, the sons of Elohim, have done? Reference to everything that I've been reading this entire message of what their sin was, what their conduct was. Verses 19 through 20. The blood which the Nephilim shed, I was calm, and I waited until, missing section, holy ones who were with the daughters of men. So even right here again, it's the same reference. And Noah is saying that the holy ones were with the daughters of men. So in conclusion, I say this. Why is it that our ancestors believe this truth? And there are many witnesses to back up everything that I presented today. Even the historical facts of where the scrolls were taken from in the Qumran caves, which were found anywhere from 1947 to 1956, 11 caves. All these scrolls were found, right along with the very Bible we read today. So why is it that our ancestors believe this truth, but the followers of Yeshua today reject this truth? Many witnesses have been presented, as I said, right? But the thing we have to understand is that the spiritual realm is more real than we are. Once we can accept that fact, we'll be well on our way to understanding the scriptures. Because the spiritual realm is more real than we are. We technically would be the invisible ones. YAHWEH, Yeshua, the Ruach HaKodesh, all the angels are more real than we are. Okay. So I think a lot of people just don't understand, are having a hard time understanding the spiritual realm. So I pray today that it's understood that the sons of Elohim were indeed angels, fallen messengers, and not the sons of Seth. And also to encourage you to look beyond the 66 book canon, because that is not all of Yahweh's word, to discover the truth and not to speak opinions, but to be able to speak the truth of Yahweh's word through his word alone. Hallelujah. As always, may our Father Yahweh bless you in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, and shalom.